Tonight, the shakeup Trump's second term will bring to Washington. The latest on the president's picks to help lead the incoming administration. Plus,
if the past is any sort of prelude to the future, it bodes very well for an excellent relationship with Israel.
As the IDF continues its fight against Hamas and Hezbollah, we hear firsthand from the man Donald Trump has chosen as the next ambassador to Israel. And scammers go into big business by way of artificial intelligence.
They do the exact same thing that a normal business does. They target their customers.
How to protect your finances from high-tech criminals. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. President-elect Trump rolls out more nominees. Good evening in Washington. I'm Jenna Browder. The new cabinet is coming into focus. Trump announcing his nominees to head the Department of Energy and the Federal Communications Commission. The Trump team is gearing up for what will likely be some very intense confirmation battles. The big question, will the soon-to-be Republican-controlled Senate confirm Trump's picks? The CBN Capitol Hill correspondent Michelle London has the latest developments. Michelle?
Jenna, Trump's transition team added 2 more nominations over the weekend, including Chris Wright as Energy Secretary and Brendan Carr as FCC Chairman. They join some of Trump's other selections, continuing to raise questions on the Hill.
These are disruptors. They are. I think that's by design. Any president has the right to name their own cabinet, to nominate persons that they think will fulfill their agenda. And the people that are on this list will do that.
Disruptors like Trump's choice for Defense Secretary, Fox News host Pete Hegseth. According to Hegseth's attorney, he paid a woman who accused him of sexual assault back in 2017 as part of a settlement agreement. Hegseth maintains the encounter was consensual, and Trump's team is standing by him, stating that Hegseth has vigorously denied all accusations and no charges were filed.
I believe the Senate should have access to that.
And less than a week after Matt Gaetz was tapped for the Attorney General role, followed by his sudden House resignation, Republicans, including Senator Markwayne Mullin, remain skeptical of whether he'll be confirmed by the Senate.
Now, should it be released to the public or not? That's I guess that will be part of the negotiations, but that should be definitely part of our decision making.
The bipartisan committee had been investigating Gaetz for allegations of sexual misconduct and illicit drug use. Though the Justice Department declines to pursue any charges from the investigations, new allegations have surfaced. New reports reveal a woman testified Gaetz had sex with her when she was only 17, something Gaetz has denied, as well as the drug claims. With a transition of power underway, Trump is doubling down on his promise to start mass deportations of illegal migrants, confirming through a Truth Social post that he will declare a national emergency and use military forces to carry it out.
I mean, the madness, it has to stop. So I think all our energy has to be towards these convicted criminal aliens, and we go from there.
Now, to help fulfill his promise of mass deportations, Trump already announced roles for Stephen Miller and newly named border czar Tom Homan to join his administration. Jenna.
Michelle, we know some senators are asking to see that House ethics report on Gaetz. Where does Speaker Mike Johnson stand on that?
Well, Johnson, who Trump recently endorsed to remain House Speaker, says he's standing by Gaetz' nomination and adds that the report should not be released given Gaetz is no longer a member of Congress. Jenna.
All right, Michelle London, thank you very much. And for more on all of this, let's bring in CBN News Chief Political Analyst David Brody. So, David, the Gaetz nomination, it sent shockwaves through Washington. Do you think he can be confirmed, or will enough Republicans vote him down? He can only lose 3.
Yes, I think it's going to be confirmed, Jenna. And here's the deal. If for some reason it starts going south on Gaetz and the president at the time, of course, it would be President Trump. Right now he's president-elect. If it starts going south on him, in other words, if it's going under 50 in the Senate, Donald Trump, the president at the time, will make a recess appointment. It's just that simple. So Gaetz is going to be the next attorney general. Now, of course, having said that, the disclaimer, of course, is who knows what the drip, drip, drip will be in terms of any of these certain allegations in that report. And if it gets worse for him, maybe not. But right now, from what we know, he's going to be confirmed.
Now, let's talk about the Treasury Department, David. Elon Musk is backing transition team co-chair Howard Lutnick. How much do you think Trump weighs Musk's opinion and endorsement here?
Well, here's the thing, and this is where it gets tricky. He values Elon Musk. I mean, look, Elon Musk is like, I mean, I feel like it's a Long Ranger and Tonto at this point. I mean, they are stapled at the hip, and Elon Musk is taking up like residency in Mar-a-Lago. So he trusts Elon Musk. Here's the problem. Elon Musk went on Twitter and started lobbying for Lutnick. That's a problem. And the reason it's a problem is because basically you don't tell Trump what to do in those type of situations when you go on social and start to spout off. Not a good look for Elon Musk. It's not something Trump likes, clearly. And so, if anything, if he was hoping Lutnick would get the job, Musk may have done him a disservice, Lutnick, that is, because Trump doesn't like to do business that way at all. So Elon Musk with the bad play there.
Yeah. David, over the weekend, Trump also announced campaign press secretary Caroline Leavitt will be the White House press secretary. She will be the youngest ever in this position at 27 years old, also a new mother. David, what do you make of this pick? I know you know Caroline personally.
I do. I know her very well. I've known her for about, oh gosh, now almost 3 years. I mean, remember, she ran for Congress. She was going to be the youngest congresswoman or congressperson ever. She did lose. She won the primary, but lost the general election in New Hampshire. Look, as my dad would say, sharp as a tack. She's really good. Or is the Gen Z? Well, I say Gen Z. I guess they're not Gen Z anymore. But remember when they used to say, she ain't playing? She ain't playing. You know, so listen, she's got a little attitude there and a little swagger when she's going to get to the podium. So, you know, it's a bit of Kayla McEnany to a degree, but it's a really good pick. I mean, it's the logical pick. It's the one that Trump should have done really right from the get-go. She's been a really, really good campaign spokeswoman for him.
David, while I have you here, I want to ask you about Trump. He met recently with the hosts of Morning Joe, Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough. What did you make of that? That had to have been a pretty awkward meeting.
Yeah, or as they say, awkward. Look, here's the thing. The left was already in meltdown mode. Now you can just imagine what their reaction is. Oh, wait, we don't have to imagine. We know it's been horrible. They're really upset that Joe and Mika did this. But here's the deal. We're in a whole new world, to quote Aladdin, I think. And the truth of the matter is we have a new media landscape out there, and you've got to understand what the electorate said. The electorate said, the mandate is there for Trump. We want change. We want to do things differently. And enough of talking about unity. Let's actually come together and get things done. In that vein, it would make sense why Joe and Mika went down to Mar-a-Lago. But boy, they're taking some hits on the left, Jenna.
Yeah, we'll see if there are more to come from others. All right, CBN News Chief Political Analyst David Brody. Thanks, David. But to the war in Ukraine, a Russian missile strike killed 10 people and wounded dozens Monday in the Ukrainian port city of Odessa. Video after the attack shows cars on fire and damaged buildings. Ukrainian officials said medics, policemen, and children were among the dead. The strike came after Russia launched a massive drone and missile attack on Ukraine on Sunday. Ukrainian officials called it the largest assault in the past few months, targeting energy infrastructure and civilians across the war-torn nation. The Biden administration is making a major policy change in its support for Ukraine, now allowing Ukrainian forces to fire long-range missiles supplied by the U.S. to target areas inside Russia. Moscow has warned such a move would dramatically change the nature of the conflict. President Biden is calling on other world leaders at the G20 summit to support Ukraine in this ongoing conflict.
The United States strongly supports Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Everyone around this table, in my view, should as well.
Biden's decision comes in response to 10,000 North Korean troops arriving to fight alongside Russian forces in the Kursk region. Ukraine captured the territory in recent months. Analysts say whoever controls the area will have leverage in ceasefire negotiations. The Biden administration only has 2 more months before President-elect Trump takes over. He has promised to end the war quickly. And Mark Montgomery joins us now. He is a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Mark, welcome. So Biden gives Ukraine the green light. What do these long-range missiles, Mark, mean for the war, and how do you think this changes Ukraine's strategy on the battlefield?
Well, thank you for having me. And look, these do make a difference. This is a long overdue decision that's been delayed for almost a year, that's prevented the Ukrainians from using the weapons at their appropriate ranges for their appropriate missions. And what I mean by that is this is the perfect weapon to strike an adversary where their logistics are aggregated or brought together, where their munitions are stowed, where their forces congregate before they come into the battlefield. So it was that kind of weapon, and they were limited, they were prevented from doing that on Russian territory. So the Russians did all those actions on Russian territory. They've now been given permission in a limited way, we think, in the vicinity of Kursk, where there are North Korean soldiers, they can use the ATACMS weapon into Russia proper. So they've been given some limited relaxation on something that should have been done more than a year ago and has negatively impacted Ukraine's warfighting capabilities over the past 12 months.
Yeah, why now? Why weren't they given earlier? And could that have changed where we stand right now in this war?
So I'll take the second part first and say absolutely. Had they been able to use these weapons a year ago, it would have had a significant impact on Russia's ability to maneuver, get forces together, stow weapons, stow ammunition, stow logistics, and just made the war fight harder on the Russians over the last year. And the Russians are already struggling, losing more than 1,000 men a day in combat. Why now? I think two reasons. One, President Biden's worried a little bit about his legacy, and his legacy is of kind of allowing Ukraine to play for a tie. And so he's trying, he's loosening the strictures as he goes out. So, he'll say at the end, I had given them full weapons release authorities. And another part is probably either to maybe it's to help President Trump, but it's definitely to impact President-elect Trump's thinking about Ukraine. There's a way that this could be a positive for President Trump where Biden doing it means it's happening and he doesn't really have to talk to Putin about it. Mm-hmm. But, I think it's as much about legacy as it is about anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it could give him more leverage with Putin in a possible negotiation. How do you expect Putin and Moscow to respond, Mark?
So, I spent the last few weeks in Ukraine doing training there. And look, no doubt, Ukraine's on the back foot right now. Russia's on the front foot. So I think as they've observed President Trump win the election, President Putin probably thinks he has a good hand right now. So I don't think he'll escalate based on this right now, but he is pressing forward with his offensive. And I think it's very important for President Trump, President-elect Trump, as he comes in, to not negotiate right away, but to read his own book, The Art of the Deal, and say, I'm gonna get myself in a position of strength and then go negotiate. And there's ways to do that, providing security assistance, doing some proper oil sanctioning on the Russian shadow fleet, pumping in more oil and natural gas in the United States, in other words, controlling the market better. If the president does all these things, he can then call President Putin. If President Trump does this, he can call President Putin in 3 to 4 months or 5 months or 6 months and say, let's talk about a cessation of hostilities. Mm-hmm. At that point, President Putin will be on the back foot.
All right, Mark Montgomery with FDD. Great to see you, Mark. Thank you for coming on this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Coming up, as Israel wages war on multiple fronts, Trump's pick for ambassador to Israel shares his vision for the Middle East. That's next on Faith Nation. Israel struck the heart of Lebanon's capital today, slamming into an area near parliament, several embassies, and the UN headquarters. At least 4 people were killed in the strikes, while Hezbollah's rockets killed an Israeli woman and injured a dozen others. It came after the IDF announced it eliminated another top Hezbollah leader in Lebanon over the weekend. Today, the terror group buried Mohammed Afif, a key Hezbollah spokesman. Meanwhile, Israel released new footage showing Israeli troops operating in southern Lebanon, despite U.S. efforts for a ceasefire.
The United States and other countries are leading the negotiations to return quiet to the north. But we'll be very straight with you. The military campaign will continue until the immediate threat from Lebanon is removed.
Israel is also continuing to strike Hamas in Gaza. This, says a UN agency announced on Saturday that gunmen in the territory looted more than 100 trucks carrying aid meant for Gazan civilians. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee has been chosen by Donald Trump as U.S. ambassador to Israel. A longtime supporter of the Jewish state, Huckabee would be a rare evangelical holding the role. On today's 700 Club, he spoke with CBN's Gordon Robertson about the significance.
It's a bigger statement, I think, that the president is saying that evangelical Christians in America strongly support Israel. And we do, as you well know. And I think it's important that as really a group of people who understand how important Israel is, not just to a relationship with the United States, but to peace in the world. My prayer, and the prayer I ask others to pray for me, is that God will use me in that role to bring relationships, to bring new post of freedom, new relationships among other Muslim-led nations, to expand the Abraham Accords, and ultimately, the simple prayer, pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
As Christians pray, as Americans pray, many also wonder about policy and what the future of the Middle East might look like. Governor Huckabee questions if a two-state solution is the best path forward to peace.
I'm not speaking for the administration that will be upcoming, not speaking for President Trump. But this idea of a two-state solution has always been nonsensical to me. You can't have two people claiming the same piece of real estate, and one of those two parties doesn't believe the other one should even exist. That is not a recipe for success. It's a recipe for confusion, disaster, and absolute mayhem. So we've got to quit talking about it. And Republicans have been just as guilty as Democrats over the years.
And to see Gordon's full interview with Mike Huckabee, President-elect Trump's nominee for U.S. Ambassador to Israel, please visit our website, cbnnews.com. Here at home, another incident of anti-Semitism, this one in Columbus, Ohio. Community leaders are condemning a group that marched through parts of the city carrying flags bearing the Nazi swastika. Witnesses say some had weapons and were shouting racial slurs toward people of color and Jewish people. When police arrived, the group left without incident. No arrests were made. Ohio's Republican Governor Mike DeWine issuing a statement saying there is no place in the state for hate, bigotry, anti-Semitism, or violence, and we must denounce it wherever we see it. Well, just 1 week ago in Michigan, another group carried Nazi flags outside a community theater performance of The Diary of Anne Frank. Hate crimes have been on the rise for the past several years, according to FBI data. The Anti-Defamation League also says anti-Semitic incidents more than doubled last year compared to 2022. And many Jews have reported feeling unsafe since the beginning of Israel's war against Hamas. Up next, the dark world of cybercrimes, how criminals are exploiting AI to find more victims. Welcome back. Concern tonight over Google's AI chatbot, Gemini. A Michigan college student received threatening messages during a conversation with a chatbot. The technology called the student a waste of time and resources, a burden on society, and a drain on the earth. The message ended by telling the student to please die. In a statement to CBN News, Google called the response nonsensical and said it was taking steps to prevent it from happening again. Cybercrime is expected to cost a staggering $10.5 trillion worldwide annually by 2025. That is 3 times more than just 10 years ago. Experts say criminals are getting smarter and faster by using artificial intelligence to stay one step ahead. CBN's Brody Carter looks into the growing risks and how you can avoid getting trapped by these sophisticated scams.
I've gotten plenty of text messages, phone calls, emails that I'm quite certain, there were scams behind them.
Even members of the Federal Trade Commission are targeted by scammers they're trying to fight. Will Maxon of the agency's Marketing Practices Division says these criminals fool potential victims by using AI to perfect and renew age-old scams.
Where you can have extremely accurate voice cloning done very quickly. The video cloning has become better and more seamless and harder to spot really every day, the speed at which they can do it.
According to the FTC, consumers reported losing more than $10 billion to fraud in 2023, up 14% from the year prior. AI makes it easier to deceive by eliminating spelling errors, creating better fake logos or images, while also providing sensitive information like partial social security numbers to make scams appear more authentic.
We've gone from millions to billions to trillions in a decade.
And that's per day?
Per day.
And seniors are clearly targets, with a majority of those seeking help being over the age of 60, reportedly losing a total of nearly $2 billion.
My name is Phyllis Weisberg. I'm a 90-year-old widow. I was the victim of an online scam. The scammers managed to get into my checking account. They removed $20,000.
Weisberg says the experience left her feeling shaken and vulnerable.
My first reaction was total embarrassment, that I would do anything that stupid. And all I can do is warn other people and just hope that this will help one person.
Cybersecurity expert James Lee adds that AI is now helping scammers close the traditional age gap.
Today, the target is 25 to 45. They're actually targeted more frequently, and the attack is more successful.
Lee advises taking extra steps to protect against all potential scams. For example, if you get an email or a call from a supposed trusted source, it's essential you take the time to verify it came from that organization.
They do the exact same thing that a normal business does. They target their customers. They figure out, well, this zip code has a higher income level. So therefore, if I target people in that zip code, I have a higher likelihood of getting away with more money.
With artificial intelligence expanding at a breakneck pace, scams will only become more prevalent. While there's no guaranteed way to prevent these attacks, experts maintain that taking protective measures and being vigilant could keep your information and your wallet safe. Brody Carter, CBN News.
All right, finally tonight, a familiar fowl is making a return to Long Island just in time for Thanksgiving. After nearly disappearing from the area for years, people living in some communities say the turkeys are now taking over. While not everyone appreciates the festive sight or loud sound of wild turkeys, the turkeys do help get rid of pests like ticks. Experts are telling residents they must learn to live alongside their new neighbors. And that's going to do it for this November 18th episode. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night.